we'll open it for Q&A. All right. Now I request the Soumya to take it on cloud and cloud computing.
So
Soumya.
good evening to one and all present here. I'm Soumya Srivastava, a beta Microsoft student partner. And what we are basically going to discuss here is cloud computing and how Microsoft Azure can make all your tasks so simple with the help of cloud computing. So let me share my presentation so that we can move ahead. And please take care that we'll also be having the quiz session in between of the slides. So keep your eye on the slide, and soon after 2-3 slides, you will see the question projected on your screen. So stay attentive, and I hope that I find many people who can get that chance to get the key. Is my screen visible?
Not yet, Soumya.
Okay. Do let me know when it is.
Yeah. Yeah, your screen is visible. Go ahead.
Is it full screen now?
Not yet. Just turn it into slideshow. Yeah, it's full screen now.
Okay, so let's go ahead. So we are going to have a hands-on session on introduction to Microsoft Azure. What we are going to do in this, we'll be understanding what is cloud computing, what are its benefits, and later we'll be understanding how we can host a website on this. This will be a hands-on process, so everyone will follow. So let's start. Let me explain you with the help of an example, a real life example. As you can see, whenever you light a bulb, do you ever wonder about the details about how it works, how the electricity gets into the light bulb, or how it is generated? Of course not. You simply want the light to work, right? You know you need electricity for that to happen. However, you don't care about how electricity gets into that bulb or what all it takes to make the process work. You only pay for the electricity, and that too for the amount of time you have consumed it. So as a technology professional, I hope everyone is from a technical background here. So as a technology professional, it would be nice to have these same benefits when developing and deploying applications, like using it whenever we need it and paying it also according to the consumption that we do. So storing large amount of data, streaming video, or even hosting a website requires managing hardware and software. If you all have ever experienced developing any software or hardware or anything, you must have gone through that. These things require some big software that we need to install. For like Android Studio, you have to install Android Studio for deploying an app or making an app. Similarly, like we are connected on a live stream right now. We are connected, we are able to see each other and interact with each other with the help of this presentation. This is possible because of cloud. Luckily, cloud computing is the solution to this problem. This management is an unnecessary obstacle when delivering your application to your user when you need additional hardware software problems. You may face difficulty that your hardware stops working. But with cloud computing, this whole scenario can be changed. So let's understand. Can anyone confirm, is my voice really clear?
Yes, Soumya, it is clear.
Okay, thank you so much. So what is cloud computing? We understood how it is important, but what is actually cloud computing? We have been hearing it from so long. Cloud computing is, in simple words, is a renting resource like storage space or CPU cycle. You take storage space or any other company's computer. If we think more practically, you only pay for what you use, and it is a pay as you go service. The companies that provide such service are known as cloud providers. Some examples are Microsoft, which provides Microsoft Azure, Amazon, that provides AWS service and Google. It provides Google Cloud service. So it is the cloud provider's responsibility for providing the physical hardware required to execute your work and for keeping it up to date. Now let's understand with the help of an example. For example, you have to store your computer data to some other device, or you have to transfer a large amount of data to some other device from one laptop to another. So what you usually do, you take a hard disk for that. You buy a hard disk or hard drive. So the limitation is that the hard drive has a limited capacity. For example, it can be 2 TB or 4 TB storage. But what if after transferring it one time, you buy it for a definite amount of money? For example, you buy it for 4,000 rupees. Now you're transferring it today, it helps you today. But what if you, in the next time, you need to transfer 6 TB of storage? So that 4 TB of storage, that won't be helpful to you, right, in that manner. So you need to extend your storage capacity. So that will be difficult, that you have to do the task 2 times. What cloud computing offers is that when you will need 4 TB of storage, it will give you 4 TB storage. When you will be needing 6 TB storage, it will automatically span itself and it will give you 6 TB storage. So you don't need to spend money all the time. The only day you need that service, you can pay for that service on that particular day only. You don't need to pay for the days you don't use it. So therefore, it is only a pay for what you use. So it is a pay as you go service. So it is a renting resource. You you rent storage or CPU cycles or another person's computer, another company's computer. How we are doing that? Like if we are using Microsoft, then we are using their Microsoft Azure. If we are using Microsoft Azure, then we are renting Microsoft's computer for storing our data. So I hope cloud computing, what is actually cloud computing, how we use it is clear. Can anyone respond in the chat box? Thank you. Now let's move on to the benefits of cloud. So there are basically 6 benefits of cloud. That is cost effective. What do we understand from cost effective? Cloud computing is a pay as you go service, as we understood from the last slide. So definitely we only pay when we need it. There is no upfront cost for infrastructure. So you don't need any additional expenditure on any other storage device. You don't need to buy anything. You just need to connect with them in order to use their service. So there is no upfront cost of infrastructure. There is no need to purchase and manage costly infrastructure that you may not use to the fullest or in the future. Example, hard disk that I already told. You only pay for additional resource, and that too only when you need. So you don't have to pay regularly for that service that you're using. You only pay when you need that. It has the ability to stop paying for resources that are no longer needed. Like if I don't want that storage, so I can immediately stop that service. So this will save my money as well and their resources as well. So whoever wants that can use that service instead of me. Now we move to the second point, scalable. How is cloud computing scalable? You can increase or decrease resources and services based on demand or workload at that time. As I told you that right now I am using 4 TB storage, but in future, if I require 6 TB storage, I can easily increase the space with the help of cloud computing. There can be a possibility that one day I might be needing only 200 MB storage. So it will automatically decrease my storage to 200 MB. So I don't need to pay for like 4 TB storage regularly. So with scalable, this meaning of scalable is increasing and decreasing the resources and service based on our demand. The next one is current and reliable. So what do we understand from current and reliable? When you use cloud, you are able to focus on what matters, and cloud usage eliminates the burden of maintaining software patches, hardware setup, upgrade, or other IT management tasks. I will explain you how. For example, you are working on a computer and your disk fails, like it stops working and it is dead, it does not work. Now it is your responsibility of replacing all the faulty software and hardware system that you have. But when you use cloud, the whole responsibility of a failed system moves to the cloud provider. So when you use cloud, you are able to focus on what matters. That is, you are able to focus on what you need to do at that moment. Like at that moment, your only responsibility is to work nicely. Rest all the background things that are upgrades, patches, or any other fixes that are done by the cloud provider, and they keep on updating it with time. So it reduces your burden. That is, it is current. How it is reliable? When you are running a business or deal with the data, you want to be confident that the data is always going to be there. So you need a guarantee kind of thing, like that your data will be safe enough in their hands. So cloud computing provides you reliability at the time of for data backup, disaster recovery, or data replication, to make sure that your data is safe. So cloud computing is current and reliable. Global is that cloud providers have fully redundant data. What do we mean by redundant? That they have copies of data. So, and there are so many data centers located at various regions all over the world. So this gives you a local presence close to a customer. For example, I live in India, but what the business that I do basically concentrates in is basically concentrated in Australia. So it would be hard for me to manage her from here to there. It is a good distance, I think. So it would be hard for me to manage my server at Australia. So what we are going to do, that with cloud computing, I will get a local presence close to them. So whatever server will be close, cloud computing will take care that I get close to my customers with the help of cloud computing, so that I can get the best response time possible. So this will also decrease the response time to the services that I give. So anywhere in the world you are, cloud computing can make your local presence there itself. So in that way, it is global. The next one is elastic. Elastic is very much similar to scalable, but in scalable, we increased the virtual machines. But in elastic, we basically increase the resources. As your workload changes due to spike or drop in demand, a cloud computer can compensate by automatically adding or removing resources. So it has the ability to do everything automatically. Let me give you an example for this. For example, imagine your website is featured in a news article, on TV or any news article, which leads to a spike in traffic overnight. So your site has overnight reached a traffic, and now it is hard for it to manage the customers. Since cloud computing is elastic, it automatically allocates more computing resources to handle the increased traffic. So when the traffic begins to normalize, the cloud will manage all the situation automatically. So when the traffic comes, so it will handle it automatically, and as soon as the traffic decreases, it will automatically move to normal again. So it is an automatic process. You don't need to worry in this situation as well. Now, how it is secure? Security is the most important thing that a customer or company or any government identity looks for. So cloud computing is highly secure. Let me explain why. Cloud providers offer a broad set of policies, technologies, controls, and expert technical skills that can provide better security that most organizations have to hire. Like for most organizations, they have to hire experts for this purpose. But by using cloud computing, this task becomes automatically because cloud service providers do have some strengthened security, which helps in fighting potential threats. So it is very much secure and therefore reliable. I hope everything is clear by now. Is anyone having any questions? Did you all get what is actually benefits of cloud? Can we have the answer in chat box? Is that a yes or no? Sure, Aditi. I will love to explain on elasticity again. I will tell you how. So when we talk about scalability, so scalability is increasing, like you can increase or decrease resources and services. Yes, has anyone something to say? Like someone unmuted itself. Okay. So scalability is like you can increase or decrease resources and services based on demand or workload at that time. So it depends on your needs. Like you have to decrease it or increase it. That is scalability. And scalability is basically of two types, like vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So like, for example, you are using a virtual machine. You are using a virtual machine and suddenly your demand of the company increases and you need more virtual machines. So please listen here that we are talking about a big devices, big hardware devices like virtual machines and computing resources. So in scalability, we increase the virtual machines and computing power. That is scalability. But while talking about elasticity is different. Now how it is different? Like in this, the workload changes you like accordingly. It changes by understanding the behavior of the performance that your website or whatever you have launched there is working. For example, like I gave you a website example that it was managing traffic. So it was using the resources by itself. So it was adjusting the resources automatically. So in scalability, you have to add the virtual machines accordingly. But in elasticity, it handles the resources, the resources like for handling the traffic. So in this way, the cloud computing normalizes the cloud automatically and deallocates the additional resources to minimize cost. I hope it is clear now. Thank you. Now, get ready for the first question of the quiz series. We are going to have the first question. So please tighten your seatbelts and get ready. Shreyash, when they are ready, please let me know.
Okay. So all of you can respond in the chat box. Guys, are you ready for the first question? It will be an MCQ.
It would be based on the like what are the benefits of cloud computing, what we just discussed. That would be a very easy question. I hope everyone can answer them if you've listened properly. No need to worry. So we are moving ahead to the first question. So here it is. The one who answers first would be considered Which of the following is considered as a benefit of cloud? Okay, thank you so much for answering the question. So the correct answer is Shreyansh. I'm now going to discuss the answers.
All right.
So the answering time is over. So the question was, which of the following is considered as a benefit of cloud? Is my voice audible clearly?
Yeah, Soumya, it is clear.
So the question was, which of the following is considered as a benefit of cloud? The first one was only local reach, second scalability, third internet connectivity, and fourth incalculable. So the correct answer is scalability. Who all answered it? Congratulations. Now I'll explain why others are not the right option so that the ones who answered it wrong, they can understand why. So as we like it is saying that the first option is only local reach. As we discussed in our benefits, we also got to know about it is global. So it will give you a local reach. That is a property of cloud, but that is not the only property of cloud. So that's why the only local reach is not the answer for this. Yes, scalability is the answer because it is considered as a big benefit of cloud because it can handle large hardware problems that usually occur while hosting or while deploying something sub application. So scalability is the answer. Why is internet connectivity not the answer? Because it is not a benefit of cloud. It is the drawback of cloud because like cloud service very hugely depends on internet connectivity. Like we are getting to interact with each other just because of the internet connectivity. So internet connectivity is one of the drawbacks of cloud computing. Though they have decreased it to a lot of extent, but still it is an issue. The fourth one is incalculable cost. Why is incalculable cost not the answer? Because cloud never charges you for what you don't use and it keeps on updating you about all the costs that you have incurred. So it calculates in a very good manner and it keeps on updating you and suggests you wherever you should invest. So this was the first question. No need to dishearten yourself. We have 3 more questions. So you have to perform. The one who performs good overall will be the winner. So no need to worry. We'll keep up a healthy competition. We are here to learn. Let's move on to the next topic. So stay attentive. Now we come to cloud deployment models. If you have heard about cloud computing, these 3 things are something very common. That is, there are 3 deployment models: public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. Now, what is public cloud? Public cloud is the most common deployment model. Like it has pay as you go pricing. You only pay for what you use. You are not responsible for maintenance or updates of the hardware. Now let me broaden up this. Public cloud is the most common deployment model and you have no local hardware to manage or you don't have to update anything. That is, everything runs on cloud providers' hardware. It is their responsibility to manage everything and from your end, you are like you are free. So one of the example of public cloud is Microsoft Azure itself. Microsoft Azure is a public cloud. What are the advantages of public cloud? So public cloud is a pay as you go service. You're not responsible for maintenance or updates. You only have to have a minimum knowledge, technical knowledge. Like you don't need to be a techie or an expert for using public cloud. A minimal technical knowledge would work up for you. So you can easily set it up and use. So this was public cloud. Now we come to private cloud. Private cloud is the one in which you create a cloud environment in your own data center. You have control and responsibility over security. Public clouds can meet strict security compliance or legal requirements. Now let's broaden up on this as well. In private cloud, you create a cloud environment in your own data center. That is, it is a self-service kind of access that from your office itself, you can have the setup at an office itself. You create a cloud environment in your own data center and you provide self-service access to computer resources in your organization. So what are the advantages? Like, first, let me give you an example so that you can understand it better. For example, like consider our government. So government data is definitely a confidential one. So like, since it is that cloud is something that is global, it makes it difficult for entities like government to give their data to anyone, right? Like India can't give its data, personal data to anyone. So government data requires a specific data to be kept in its country or privately. So in this task, private cloud can help us. How? Because it creates a cloud environment in its own data center. So we can have a data center at our convenience, at our place only. So this gives a sense of trust and reliability to the user itself. What are the advantages of it? You can ensure the configuration, the support, or any legacy, like whatever update you want, whatever update you don't want, what all requirements do you actually need according to the scenario that you work upon. You can control over security and also can meet strict security, like whatever legality you need. So you can specify it in private cloud. So it has a plus point over security and your reach. The third one is hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud combines public and private cloud. You can use out-of-date hardware or an out-of-date operating system in this. You can use your own equipment to meet security, compliance, or legacy scenarios. Now, let me explain why. It combines public and private cloud, allowing you to run your business in most appropriate location. Now, how it can do that? For example, you could host a website in public cloud because public cloud is pay-as-you-go service. You can host it on public cloud and link it to a highly secure database that you have in your private cloud. So you get an extended feature of using both the cloud services as one service in hybrid cloud. For example, it can also work in that scenario. For example, many companies have an outdated database. Like if we consider the example of government databases, they can be out to date because they have been using it since a long time. So like, for example, we are using government database. So it can be difficult to update the things on public cloud or private cloud or any cloud. But hybrid cloud does what? That you can use your own outdated systems in this. Okay. So in this, we can use out-of-date hardware or an out-of-date operating system. And it has the functionality of both public and private cloud. Definitely, it might be costlier also, but for companies that required this feature of outdated hardware or software can go with this feature. I hope I am clear on this. If anyone has any doubt, please ask it. Is everything clear? You need to be active, like you have to be active all the time. Okay, Hari. So we can't decide the effectiveness like right now, but it depends on the situation. It depends on the user. Like if I'm a normal customer or I'm a normal person, I don't need like high security or these kind of things. So I would go with public cloud. So as a normal user, I would prefer public cloud. But now, since I am working in some company, like let's consider that I am working in some big company, they require the hardware to be present there only. For example, let's take Deloitte as the option. There is a company Deloitte or VMware, so they don't want their data to go to someone else. So they will keep a private cloud in their office is only. So in that case, when I want security, I can go with private cloud where I can use the service at my very place only. Now, the third one is like I am a government employee, government official, and now I want to have the data, but my all my data is outdated. So what shall I do? In that scenario, I can go with hybrid cloud. So some of the real world example are like VMware Cloud is a private cloud, Microsoft Azure is a public cloud, and in hybrid cloud, you can understand it with AWS. Amazon Web Services is a hybrid cloud. I hope now I'm clear with your question, Hari. Great. So since everything is clear with you all, let's move ahead with the question. So we have question 2 for a quiz series. Which cloud model will suit best for the following situation? Businesses that require to run specialized hardware along with their own older databases at the same time. Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, or some other cloud. Okay, thank you so much for responding. So now I am revealing the answer. The answer is hybrid cloud. Those who got it right, very good. But those who did not get it right, no need to worry. I'll let you know why is hybrid cloud the answer and why others are not correct. Now let's look at the question. The question says, businesses that require to run specialized hardware and they also want to run their older databases at the same time. So when I talked about hybrid cloud, now see the second point of hybrid cloud, you can use out-of-date hardware or an out-of-date operating system. So it is clearly mentioned that if you want to use your older databases or older operating system, hybrid cloud is the solution. So that's why hybrid cloud is the answer. Public cloud is not the answer because you can't run specialized hardware or older databases on that. Private cloud also can't run older databases, but hybrid cloud can. That's why hybrid cloud is the answer. So very good, everyone. Now, this is types of cloud services. After understanding types of cloud services, we'll move on to the hands-on session. So what do we understand from types of cloud services? There are basically 3 types of cloud services: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. IaaS is infrastructure as a service, whereas PaaS is platform as a service, and SaaS is software as a service. Now I want to give you an alert to everyone, because these 3, if you know it already, then it's good. But if you don't know about these, then you need to be very attentive, because when I was studying about them, even I was in a lot of confusion. So I want you all to learn the most from it. So please be attentive. Infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service is the most flexible category of cloud services. Like it has a lot of flexibility and resources and functionalities, actually, not resources, functionalities that you can use. It gives most control over the provided hardware. So like you don't need to share the control to the cloud provider. You have most of the control to yourself only. So if you want the hardest level of control or the greatest level of control over your services, you should go with infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure service gives you most control over the provided hardware. Instead of buying hardware, you rent it. So you don't need to like buy any hardware, because there is a possibility that you might be using it today, but with changing time, things actually change. So that would be of no use. So we should rent it. So in this, you don't need to buy anything, you rent it. It is a shared responsibility model. Why a shared responsibility model? Because it gives you most control over your provided hardware, but not the full control. Cloud provider works with you, and that is a shared responsibility of you and the cloud provider. So this is infrastructure as a service. Now we come to platform as a service. What does platform as a service do? Platform as a service gives you an environment for building, testing, and deploying software applications. Like it's made to help you create an application quickly without managing infrastructure. Like if you are a coder, you don't want to worry about the outdated system patches or whether how to deploy it or where to deploy it. If you are making a website, you don't need to worry about that. If you want to, is my voice audible?
It was unclear for a bit.
Yes, can you please repeat?
Yes, ma'am. It was unclear for a bit when we were mentioning about the environment for building, testing, and deploying. After that, it was unclear.
Okay, I'll repeat again. So platform as a service gives you an environment for building, testing, and deploying software applications. Its goal is to help you create an application quickly without managing underlying infrastructure. For example, while deploying a web application using PaaS, platform as a service, you don't have to install an operating system or web server or even system updates. So it is the responsibility of platform of the cloud provider to handle all this. You only need to concentrate on how to build the application. What you are creating, you only need to think about the coding part. Now, what is software as a service? Software service is a service that is centrally hosted and managed by end customer. So end customer is the one, for example, like Office 365 or Skype, or like we are using Microsoft Teams right now. That is also software as a service. You don't need to worry about anything. Every task is done by itself. It is a software and you just need to do some clicks and the task is done. So this is software as a service. I hope this is clear. Great. If anyone is having any doubt, please ask, because we are having our next question after this slide. Any doubt?
Yeah, I think we can go ahead with the question.
Okay. The question see
Question is not visible.
which service is best for you? It isn't visible right now.
No, I can still see your types of cloud services slide. Is okay. Soumya, can you share your screen?
Yes, I'm doing. Is my screen visible?
No.
Let
Not
me know.
Guys, is the screen visible?
No, sir.
Is it visible now?
No, Soumya, it's not. Can you just type in the question on the chat box?
Yeah, I can, but it would be feasible if it's visible.
Yeah, but your slide is not
Why
visible.
it's not? It isn't visible yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, I'll write the question in the chat box then.
Yeah.
So have just written which service is best for you in the given situation. I'll be doing this duration. So here's the question. Okay, go ahead, keep trying. Okay, great. So I'll tell you the right answer now. So the right answer is platform as a service. Now, why platform as a service is the answer? Because you want a service that can handle the question is you want a service that can handle the IT management so that you can easily focus on writing code. So what platform as a service does, that goal is to help create an app quickly without managing underlying infrastructure. So you don't need to like anything or deploying software, testing software, building software. So you only need to think about the code that you have to write. So platform as a service is the right answer. Okay. Congratulations to all the ones who have answered it correctly. And no need to lose hope who haven't answered it correct. But definitely you got to learn about. Now I would be passing on this session to Shreyansh. He would be going ahead with his content, and then we'll having the last round. So we'll be having total 4 questions. 3 are already done. One will be asked. And this is it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you for that wonderful session. I was glad to have you on the session. Thank you. All right,
You're
guys.
welcome.
So yeah. All right, guys. So let's carry on with AI, the next part. Okay, let me briefly summarize in 5 minutes what Soumya told us. Can you see my slide? Can I get a confirmation in the chat box? Can you see my slide? Yes. All right. So what was cloud computing in a nutshell? In a nutshell, delivery of computing resources over the internet, right? You just have to pay for what you do, right? So it is just a delivery of your computing resources. Like computing resources can be virtual machines, your serverless and containers. Let's not go into depth of each and every one because it will take a lot of time. Again, compute servers, network commodity machines that are located in data centers. What are data centers? Data center is where your all the hardware what you need for your cloud computing lies. Microsoft has its data centers across the globe, but in India there are 3 data centers: one in Mumbai, one in Pune, and one in Delhi. All right. Then the next thing, what cloud serves you is the storage facility, that is your databases. There are a lot of database services from Azure. I'll just show you when I go through the demo. All right. Then we have analytics or intelligence. That is what we will be looking into today, the artificial intelligence as such. All right, let's see the evolution of computing. Okay, in 1877, there was this invention of giant calculator. Then the electronics came into existence. Then we had the first robot, which was built in the year 1969. Right. Then the first GUI, that is a graphical user interface, was formed in the year 1981. Then voice recognition is not a new system. It was founded in the year 1992. Right. VAM self-driving car, which was the first prototype, was formed in the year 1994. So, and then what is the way ahead of now? Like, what do we have right now? That is, we have big data, compute power, and powerful algorithms. Well, algorithms, I'll just take you to a few basic today in machine learning. You'll get the idea from there. Right. So what is big data? Big data, we have a lot of enormous amount of data, right? Your Facebook, you share, give it a like to some post, then that is a data which is being generated. So, managing all these factors of getting in more data comes under the thing of big data. Compute power, as we know, virtual machines, containers. Containers again is a much more, lighter form of, doing your things. It comes under DevOps again. All right. So in a nutshell, these are the benefits of cloud: your scalability, high availability, right? The resilience and privacy, security, and lower costs. So what are the tools used? Visual Studio, GitHub, Power Apps, which is a fantastic low-code platform where you can create your apps within a jiffy. Power BI, where you can visualize your data. Right. This is the global network of Microsoft data centers. Right. We have around 54 Azure regions. right? 130 plus edge sites and 100 Gbps of connectivity in between the data centers. As you can see, there are 3 in India. So let's get started with artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Can someone tell me in the chat box what is artificial intelligence? Okay, let's see. What is intelligence in the first place? What is intelligence? Are you able to hear? Guys, am I audible? One of you just unmute your mic and speak. Am I audible? Okay. So what is intelligence? Let's keep it interactive. What is intelligence? No response. What is intelligence? Okay, seems like no one is responding. Let me go ahead. Intelligence is nothing but not about scoring marks or something like that. It is just, ability to think and think rationally and act as per that, right? So that is how you can. Okay. Yash is saying it is taking actions according to the situation. Yes, that's right. That is what you call thinking, right? How you can think. You guys are, like in each and every step you take up your own decisions, you make certain amount of decisions, you do calculations. So yeah, all of us are intelligent. Now how do we make machines equally intelligent as humans? Okay, not we cannot do it very equally, but somewhere, how can you get it near to humans? How can you make a humanoid robot like Sophia? I think you might have heard of Sophia, right? So how can you make that happen? Well, that is what you learn in the field of artificial intelligence. The basic definition, or like just for understanding, computer mimicking human intelligence is nothing but artificial intelligence. Then what is this machine learning? You might have heard, right? Machine learning, AI, DL and all. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is just a branch of AI that deals with statistical methods. Now what are the statistical methods? I'll just speak in the upcoming slides, right? Then based on the data you give, your machine predicts, okay, this might happen. I'll just show you a project which I have done on COVID-19 analysis in the upcoming slides, right? Just to show you an how machine learning works in real life. Then comes deep learning. It is again a branch of AI. It is not something apart from AI. It is again a branch of AI where system can train itself, right, to perform tasks. Again, there are 3 types of learning. One is the supervised, right? One is the unsupervised, then reinforcement. So this comes under unsupervised learning, right? So you to train a deep learning model, you need enormous amount of data when you compare it to machine learning. Okay, so am I clear so far? Guys, just respond in the chat. Am I clear so far, or am I going too fast? Am I very fast, or should I go slow? Can one of you just unmute and talk? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's now understand basics of AI. What does AI mean? How should you like visualize AI, right? The AI system. Let's take it part by part. The one you can see here on my screen, intelligent agent, I have written on the diagram, right? It has sensors, functions, and actuators. And there is a separate column called environment and percepts and actions. Right. So let's see what is intelligent agent. That we'll see it later. Again, coming to environment. What is an environment where your AI reacts? For example, in case of a self-driving car, what is an environment? It is your road, people, signal, other vehicles, right? That is the environment in terms when you think of a self-driving car. Let's say you think of a vacuum cleaning machine, right? An artificially intelligent vacuum cleaning machine. So what is the environment for that? It is your people, if just in case if they come in front of that thing, and then the dust, right? That is its environment. So that is what you mean by environment. Then comes the sensors, as the name itself makes it very clear, one which senses the data and gives it. So what are percepts? sense state that at every point it should get some input from the environment, right? The inputs are nothing but your percepts, right? Then what is an actuator? Actuator is, something when it goes through the function of f of x, what I've written, the function, right? One which goes through that, and what action you see, that is your actuator, and it comes out in the form of actions. Now, what is the agent function? Agent function is like the brain. What you can, like an analogy to your brain, right? What your brain does is the calculations, the decisions what it takes. Similarly, function, the agent function here makes all the decisions what from the percepts you think. Like let's say you're a human, when you touch your what do you get? Hot glass of water, what do? You immediately take your hand back, right? So what is your percept here? Your percept will be the hot glass which you're touching. What is your action? Action is you're taking it back. So who does all the calculations, all or the necessary thinking here? That is your brain. Similarly here, let's say the percept, your artificial intelligent machine which you design, right? Your intelligent agent sense the heat, immediately it takes the arm back in case of a humanoid robot, right? So that is here the action. Okay, so sensors, function, and actuator together, right? They form your intelligent agent, and all these components are done using any code or the low code platforms which we are going to discuss today, the cognitive services in this session, right? So am I clear with the AI system? I want responses, guys. Am I clear with the system? Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay, so let me go ahead. Next is, okay, what is digital transformation? Again, AI is the main thing. Then comes a subset of machine learning. Then inside machine learning, as I said, if the data is more, right? If the data you have is more, then you can go with deep learning. That includes again neural networks. Neural networks is nothing but, you guys might have seen the neurons, right, in your basic 10th standard of biology somewhere. Yeah, so similar to that, you have neural networks here where you go through the layers. Again, that's a vast topic which we'll cover in some other webinar. All right. So let's see the branches of artificial intelligence. It's machine learning first. Again, there comes deep learning and predictive analytics. I'll just show you the predictive analytics today, right? Then comes the speech to text or text to speech. Then vision, machine vision or image recognition. Machine vision comes, for example, your computer vision, CV, what you call, that comes under machine vision. Then natural language processing, NLP, expert system, and then also robotics. Robotics includes your IoT as well. Again, Azure has good IoT services, which I'll be showing you today on the edge. Now let's move on to Machine Learning Studio or the machine learning as such. So any doubts so far? Clear with AI system, right? Everyone is clear with AI system and the branches of AI. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead with machine learning. What is machine learning? Like if anyone knows what is machine learning? Guys, respond. What is machine learning? Okay, Yash is saying make predictions as per data available. Anyone else? Anyone else? What is machine learning? Okay, Hari is saying making machine to learn and predict automatically and do work. Okay. Okay, machine learning, learn from data and make decisions. Okay, improve experience of user through algorithms. All right. So machine learning is nothing but, in basic terms, you make a machine learn based on some data you give. It is just like training a kid, right? When we were small, we were trained by a parent. Similarly, you train your model is your kid here, right? You just train the model through your inputs. What will be these inputs in machine learning? Mostly it will be in the form of data sets, right? Now what is a data set? Data set is nothing but a collection of statistical data in a table format, right? There are many more formats in which you save this. The one which we use extensively is CSV, which stands for, what does CSV stand for? Anyone? What does CSV stand for? Okay, comma separated value, not value cost. Okay, it's comma separated version, right? So now let's go ahead with Machine Learning Studio, where I'll just show you a code of normal, what do you call, machine learning as well. How do you do it in Python? But again, I'll show you a no code platform, that is Machine Learning Studio, where you just have to have a basic idea of what an algorithm is, which algorithm to use in what condition, and you're good to go. You can just drag and drop it onto the canvas, and your model is ready to go, right? So what is Machine Learning Studio in the first place? Machine Learning Studio is a collaborative drag and drop. I'll just show you what I mean by drag and drop, where you can build, test, and deploy predictive analysis using your solutions. Publishes, where can you publish the data now? I said of a tool called Power BI, right? You can do it in your Power BI, or you can take it download and use it in your Excel, or you can build your custom apps. There is provision for all of that. Let's now see what Machine Learning Studio has and how do you do it, right? These on my left hand side are your algorithms, right? Anomaly detection, classification, clustering, recommendation, regression, statistical functions, text analytics, and computer vision. All these are in store for you in ML Studio. Again, ML Studio is just, like a black box. You don't know what goes behind the scene, right? You just have to give in the data, but it processes and gives you out. You can't open each and every node and check, okay, how is the algorithm written inside? No, it's just a node which is present, which is pre-coded. There is no need to code anything. You just have to connect the dots. All right. So first, what do you do? What is the first step in machine learning? First step is you import your data, right? Then the next step is pre-processing your data. What does pre-processing mean? You prepare your data for training or testing. In this, there are many types in which you do. Major ones will be cleaning your data, that is clean your missing data. If there is some missing data in your data set, you just have to clear it out. Then, if you want to drag and drop some columns, you can do that. Again, feature scaling. Let's say one value is 10,000, other value is somewhere around 10, right? So this 10 will be totally neglected from your mathematical calculation. Again, why am I referring to mathematical calculation? I'll just tell you later. Mathematical calculation will obviously, reject 10 in front of 10,000. So how do you scale it up together? That is what you do in feature scaling, right? Scaling 10 and 10,000 together is your feature scaling. Okay, so this is how it works. I'll just show you the working. Now, many of us think, okay, data science can do that, data science can do this, right? But only there are 5 things which data science can do, right? Is this A or is this B? That is your classification. It just classifies you and gives you. Which algorithms are used here? We use classification algorithms. It's very simple. Then, is this weird, right? Let's say in this picture where there are 4 dogs displayed and then there is one cat. I mean 3 dogs and a cat, right? Let's say such black sheep is found in case of, like 10,000 data, you find some faulty data in between. Where do I use this? This is used in banks for credit card management to detect your fraudulent transactions. One transaction, if it is faulty out of 10,000 correct transactions, how do you detect that? That is what your anomaly detection algorithms work on. Okay, and then comes how much or how many, right? This is done using regression algorithms. Let's say you want to predict the coronavirus cases in the coming 10 days. What do? Right? You use regression. Or There are classifications in that, but again, the main class which you use will be regression for that. Okay. Then how is this organized? Let's say you have to group out some things. So how do you organize things? That uses your clustering algorithms. Then what should I do now, right? This is extensively used for your reinforcement learning algorithms. Like I said, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. Reinforcement learning algorithms like your Facebook uses the reinforcement learning, or your Amazon uses it for, recommendations. Your YouTube gives you recommendations based on your views, right? How does YouTube do that? It's based on reinforcement. Where does it get the data from? From what you view before, okay, or what you shop before in case of Amazon, or what you listen before in case of Ghana, or Smule or something like that. Clear? Am I clear so far? Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay. So in a nutshell, I can just tell what is machine. If we need to do to, Yash, can you unmute yourself and talk? Yash, can you unmute yourself and talk?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Shreya, the question is, like you have told, for the one question you are using one specific algorithm, right?
Yeah.
So if we want to do 2 or 3 tasks, can we just merge all of them, or we have to just do it separately only?
What do you mean by doing 2 tasks? Can you give an example?
Suppose, like you have told in, is this weird? So
Yeah.
you have showed the dogs and the cats over there,
Yeah.
and we have to separate both of them, and we have to do the clustering also of that thing.
Yeah, first you take in your output from your anomaly detection, as I showed you here. Let's say detected a cat, right? Take it ahead and organize it ahead in your clustering algorithms. You can do that.
Okay. So we need to merge 2 things then.
Yeah, you need to merge 2 things in your same program, or here in case of your same palette.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone? Any more doubts? Anyone? Okay. Assume it's clear. So let me just tell you what I told so far, the summary of everything. So first we spoke about AI. AI was nothing but mimicking human intelligence by your computer or any machine, right? That is your AI in very simple terms. Then machine learning. So how does a machine learn? You can just, like take an analogy of a kid learning to write, read, then, step by step what a kid does. Similarly, you have to do by training your model in machine learning. You have to keep training it again, right, in order to get a good result. Okay, so that is what I spoke so far, and again I'll introduce you to Machine Learning Studio in a while. uh, okay, coming back to Microsoft AI. Now what does Microsoft have? Right, their platforms. We have data plus AI platform. Then we have intelligent agents like Cortana, and Google has its voice assistant and Siri in case of iPhone. Amazon has Alexa. Business solutions and applications. I'll be teaching you the APIs today. So this is what Azure has. Trained services which are already trained and kept ready for you to work on. No need to again write a code for that and train your model. The model is already being trained. You just have to give in your input and it gives you the output. So your coding part from scratch is reduced in case of cognitive services. Then let's say you have to prepare your own bot, right? Again, that is ready for you. You just have to give in your input. Let's say a bot for a user manual, right? You have a user manual and your user has to access it, and let's say he has a doubt in accessing some feature of your product, right? Your bot, you just have to feed in your whole user manual. It as per user's input, it gives you the output. So again, there is no need to code your bot, train your bot, or something as that sort, right? Your bot is ready to go. Then your Azure Machine Learning. Again, Azure Machine Learning, there are variety of services. The one with zero code, that is your Machine Learning Studio, and one where you have to code using your notebooks, that is your Azure Machine Learning Services, right? Then you have AI infrastructure. These three are your AI services. Remember, they are your services. Then comes your infrastructure, that is AI on data, data lake, SQL Server, Cosmos DB for your databases. AI compute, where you have data science virtual machines. ACS stands for Azure Container Services. Again, Azure Container Services is your DevOps, where you have CI/CD implementation, right? What do I mean by CI/CD? Continuous integration and continuous development, where you have an infinite cycle sort of thing, where deployment and your production goes in scale. Again, that is into DevOps, so let's not touch it today. Then comes AI tools, where you have Machine Learning Studio, Machine Learning Workbench, Azure Notebooks, and Visual Studio Code. As you can see, this is your Visual Studio Code. Just a second. Okay. So this is your Visual Studio Code, as you can see. Can you see a coding platform? This is your Visual Studio Code, right? Then the deep learning frameworks. Just a second. Okay. Then comes your deep learning frameworks, Cognitive Toolkit, TensorFlow, which is from Google, and Caffe2. Right, so all these deep learning frameworks are already available on Azure for you to work on. Okay, the portfolio, what is again, it is very clear from the slide itself. Agent is Cortana, right? Applications use your Office 365, Dynamics 365. All these are your applications. What are the services? As I told you, cognitive services, Cortana Intelligence, Cognitive Toolkit, and Bot Framework. What is your infrastructure? Azure Machine Learning, N-Series, and FPGA. So as I said, the services are already pre-built, right? They are pre-trained. There is no need to train your services. So what are your services? Computer vision, face, emotion, content moderator, video indexer, and video. Text analytics comes under your speech. Language comes, language has those 4 options. Knowledge has 4, and search has all this. I'll be showing you a few of these today in the demo, right? So let me make it clear. What am I going to tell? I'm just going to show you an API where you will have to code for your application, but not for this particular part of AI, right? You'll have to create your own app. Let's say you are planning to build a anomaly detector app, okay, where you take in your abusive content and show it to your user. Okay, this is abusive, you have to delete it, right? So what will you do? Tweets will be taken in to your Logic app. What is Logic app? Logic app connects your all the other APIs to one place, right? And cognitive services is here on the top, right? Functions, evaluate your score, and this is how your architecture goes for your web app or your application which you're going to build. Clear? Am I clear? Okay. Let's move on to some demos now, right? Even you guys can follow me with your demos. First, I'll be showing you Machine Learning Studio. Right? This studio.azureml.net. Okay, sign in with your Microsoft accounts. Again, this is a free service from Microsoft, whereas the machine learning service is a paid service. So if you want to try out Machine Learning Studio, you guys are welcome to try, even if you don't have any subscription active on your Microsoft Azure, right? So this is how. Are you guys following? Guys, I need response. Are you following? So let's go ahead with some project. Okay, when you have to create some experiment, right? I have created a few beforehand. Let me just show you. Okay, create a project, give a project name, let's say demo. Okay, you can add assets as well, whatever you want. All your assets will be stored in this particular project folder. Now, what should we do? We have to create a new experiment, right? Can you see a new button on the left hand side? Can you see the icon? Just click on that. Okay, this new window pops up. You can have a couple of, pre-built thing on your uh, studio here. You can see there's a airplane flight delay prediction, then binary classification, and all those things which are pre-built. You can use them into your application as well. Or if you want to start it from scratch, you can click on blank experiment. Okay, this is what I was telling about the canvas, right? And there are custom has your custom rows, and then you have data conversion, converted to CSV as well, data input, export data, import data, right? Then the saved data sets, right? There are a couple of data sets which I have added. They come under your my data sets, and samples is what Azure gives you, right? Airport codes, automobile price detection, bike rental, blood donation data. There are a lot of data sets, as you can see, right? These are already a weather data set, for example, that is available for you. And MNIST data set, which is very famous, German credit card data set for a credit card detection model, right? Let's just drag this data set onto the palette, right? Okay. Can you see that I have dragged a palette onto my canvas? Right, you can zoom in here if you want. Okay, you can zoom in, zoom out like this, right? And then now what is the next step? You want to, once the data set is ready, let's say you want to view, okay, you want to view the data set. There's an option here to view it as well. But again, you can click on visualize here. Okay, and here is your data set. What is there in your data set, right? That has two columns. Again, it is showing you in a weird manner. Let me just change the data set. I'll just drag in a data set which I've already loaded. Okay, view the data set. It is downloading, or if you want to visualize it, click on visualize. Right here you can see serial number, observation date, province or the state, country or the region, last update, confirmed, deaths and recovered. This is nothing but here coronavirus data set which I just downloaded from Kaggle. Right, there are all the entries here, right? Most of them, as you can see, are here from China. If you want to view the whole data set, I'll just show it to you. Okay, this is the whole data set which I have downloaded. Okay, as you can see here, it's around 43,722 data till the date. So this is how your data set looks like. Okay, what does it have here? Province, country, which country is it? Last update, confirmed, deaths and recovered. Okay, so now let's say you have to build your model using this, right? You have to, code it using this. So what will you do? You'll just import the data. You can just go to your Google Collaboratory or, Microsoft Jupyter Notebooks and just start doing it on your own. But let's say you don't want to code. What will you do? Right? Now after this, convert it to CSV, but again, it is in CSV, so there is no need to convert. Export data, import data, right? Data transformation. I'll just drag in a manipulation thing. I want to, drop some columns, select columns from the data sets. I just want to drag the column of the serial number because I don't use it anywhere in my machine learning, right? So what do? I just connect this data set, connect from this dot till this dot, right? Now, can you see a red mark which say value required? Okay, there is a thing called launch column selector. Click on that. Okay, whichever columns you have to drop, just keep it on a left hand side. Whichever columns you want, just drag it onto your right hand side like this. Okay, and then click on OK. Now just run the model, right? Run your model once. It shows you the time here. It says finished running already. Okay. Now, if you want, you can visualize your data. See, as you can see, the serial number line, which was here, the serial number column, which was there in my initial data set is not visible here, right? Because I wanted to drop it. I told you I don't want serial number because it is not used in my mathematical applications. Any mathematical applications, I go ahead, right? So what do? I just drop my serial number data by launching the column selector. Well, how do you do it in Python? Anyone has any idea? Can you tell me a Python code to drop your data column? Guys, can you just tell me a Python code to drop it? I just did it without coding, right? You didn't see me coding anything in any language, be it R or Python or anything, right? I just did it by selecting the columns. The same thing to do with coding. How will you do it in Python? Guys, be responsive on the chat. Drop NA, okay. Okay, let's say I use something called COVID as my variable name. Yeah, that is right, Aditi. It's called data.drop or whatever the variable you give, COVID.drop of that particular column in a single quote. That is how you drop column. And if you want to visualize it, you use data.drop show, right? That is how you do your column wise thing, or data.head if you just want to visualize your 5 columns. But can you see I didn't even use a single piece of code in this? That is why I just told you can do machine learning just if you know the concepts. There is no need for you to learn your Python or R or any other language, right? With machine learning, and you can name your experiment here as, let's say I'm doing COVID analysis, right? I just have to give it here and that's it. Your thing is good to go. So this is how you build, and there is a minimap here which shows you what and all have you done. Okay, so let's not just sit and build because it will take time. Let's just take a ready-made model. And again, if you want to add your own data set, how do you do that, right? I'll just show you that. Go to new, click on data set, from local file, choose a location from anything. Let's say this is here COVID-19 data, and open it. Give a description. This is some COVID dataset. All right, and click on OK. It's uploading now, uploading your COVID dataset. Once it's uploaded, it gives you a green tick. It's that simple for you to analyze your dataset using this. I'll just show you which are all the algorithms present. Can you see the machine learning tab here? Okay, upload of dataset has completed, right? That means my dataset is completed. And to access your data, go to save datasets, click on my datasets, and here is it, COVID-19 data.csv. Okay, so now I'll show you which are all the algorithms present to evaluate your model. Okay, cross-validate your model, initialize anomaly detection. Okay, these are the two algorithms. One is one class support vector machine, right? Then there is PCA anomaly detection model. So the thing is, there is no need to code for anything. You just have to, like connect your column somewhere to this. Okay, connect and drag and drop. I'll just show you a model which is trained. Then there are multi-class models, 2-class decision. Just explore it, and then coming to regression, you have Bayesian linear regression, boosted decision tree, fast forest random, neural network, right? Ordinary regression, Poisson regression, everything, right? So select whatever you want. Okay, I'm just deleting from this thing. I'll just show you a ready-made model which is available, right? New experiment. Let's see. All right, let's see airplane detection. I mean aeroplane time delay detection model. Okay, click on OK. You can zoom in or zoom out as per your wish. Okay, this is a ready-made thing which is already available. Okay, there is a weather data set. As Yash was asking me a question, can you do it for two different scenarios? I think yes, you can see on the screen there is one side you have flight data, other side there is weather data. So what is this doing? Flight delay prediction based on the weather, right? You have to consider a weather as well as your flight data. Combine both, join the data here using the join module, right? Join the split data again if you want. As you can see, right? Airport codes dataset is being used. Again, there are three different datasets which are used: weather dataset, flight delay prediction, and everything. So what you have to do is just run this model. Right. Again, one more advantage of this particular machine learning studio is that you can use two different algorithms. As you can see here, we have used two-class logistic regression and also a two-class boosted decision tree. I just want to evaluate which one will give me a higher accuracy, right? Based on that, I can just keep retain that algorithm onto my canvas and delete the other one, right? My model has finished running. So to evaluate your model, just click on this evaluation thing. Just click on, evaluation results and visualize. Let's see which has done it well, right? As you can see, true positive values are ready here, right? Evaluation models, threshold is set, area under the curve is 0.66, right? How has your model performed on your thing? The F1 score and everything, true positive, false positive, and true negative is already given to you on your canvas. So what did I do here? I just didn't add any one single piece of code, right? Did you see me coding anything in Python or R? I just dragged and dropped onto the canvas and I just connected it, right? So based on that, I predicted the output of your thing. So now let's say you want to set it up as your web service. So just click on this web service button here, predictive web service, finish it. There is creating a predictive experiment thing going on right now, or just retraining web service, finish. Okay, it's not taking because I've added two algorithms. Just delete one, whichever is not showing, just to see which has performed well. Click on individual score model palette, right? Visualizations are here, statistics. Okay, so as you can see, without any single piece of code, I'm able to deploy my model. So this is how your machine learning works. I mean, the machine learning studio works. Again, if you want to have a webinar on this separate building a model, we can have it in the upcoming session. All right, clear? Clear with this? I'll go on to the next service, that is cognitive services. Any doubt? Okay. Now comes the cognitive services API part, which we have been focusing on. Okay. This is your cognitive services portal where you have to log in, azure.microsoft.com/cognitive services, right? Then you have a brief introduction. What is it? Well, again, it is an API. What is an API? API is a application program interface which interfaces between your software and your database. It is in between, so there is no need to code for your backend as such. Your backend is ready to go in terms of your artificial intelligence, right? So what has cognitive services for you to offer, right? There are five main parts. Decision, one is your anomaly detector, right? Identify potential problems early on. Content moderator, I'll just show you what content moderator does. Personalizer, okay. Then you have language, Q&A maker, text analytics. Speech, vision, where this is where your computer vision CV or custom vision, face, form recognizer, OCR reader is also available. Then Bing search is also available for you here. You can, add a Bing search to your applications using this API. So let us just see one of the API today. Let's see. What do you want to see? Computer vision. Okay. So what does your computer vision usually do? Right? You just have to code and get an output like this, right? You have to code where should be the triangular box and everything. I think if there is a developer from CV, he can visualize it better here, right? You have to literally sit and code hours together to do this. But here the API is ready for you, right? What is this showing me? Okay, there's a rectangular at this particular position, then there is a subway train. Okay, then what is a parent object and everything. It returns you in a form of JSON, right? JSON format is ready. The image format given was JPG. Is there any is the image black and white? No, it is false, right? So it is telling you it is false. Is there any adult content in this? No, so it is again a false. What's the adult score, right? If there is an adult content, what is the score? It is almost 0.0091, so which is almost equal to 0, so there is nothing. Is there any racy content in this? Can you see any racy content? No, so it is a false, right? Racy score, it is again a score which tells you how much what is the probability of being a racy content here. It is 0.014, right, which is almost equal to 0 again. Categories, transition, again the score is 98%. It's a transport transition place, right? There's a metro which you can see, which is a dominant background color. It identifies it as black because as you can see there are a lot of black accents in this picture, right? Then dominant color foreground is again black. Okay, so it gives you out everything. What can it see? What are the tags it has given here? There is a train with a confidence of 99%. So it is almost sure that there is a train in this picture, right? And is there a platform? Yes, it's there. So it is predicting you out with a 99% accuracy. Then is there a station? Yes, it is a station with 97% accuracy. Is it an indoor station or it is an outdoor station? It is predicting that it's an indoor station with accuracy of 92%. Can you see some clothing in this? Yes, it can see some clothing as this man, right? But it is not very sure. It is saying it a 50% accuracy. Is something pulling, right? The train always pulls and a locomotive pulls the whole coaches, right? So is there something pulling? Yes, something is pulling because the train is passing, right? With a 43% accuracy. Okay, so now these are your tags and text. People waiting at a train station. So this is what your AI detected without a single piece of code. It detected that there are people standing on your railway station waiting for a train. What is the accuracy? 83%, right? So this is what I infer from this data. Okay, so let's change this picture. I think all of you know this person, Satya Nadella. Okay, so who's this? There's a person in the picture, right? And there is one more feature. It says he's a male and his gender. His gender is a male and his age is 49, right? Your AI is ready to do that as well. So again, you can submit your own pictures or browse through, like submit some pictures. Okay, submit your own pictures as such and get to know. Right. Hello, can you mute yourself? Guys, can you mute yourself? Okay. Right. So how do you create this? Vishnu Dharani, can you mute yourself? Okay. So this is what your custom, computer vision does for you. There are many more APIs like this. Let's just see some more. Let's see content moderator. What has content moderator in store for us? Okay, there is no demo for this. Okay, video indexer. This is one more powerful API. Let's show the demo here. There's no demo. I'll just show you through the labs. Guys, these are already pre-built demos, which you can also build on your own. I'll just tell you how to build it in a while, right? I'll just show you what can API do for you. Okay, so this is my video indexer. Using video indexer, they have built this. Let's play some video. right? Right. There is this video, and it has identified him as Satya Nadella, right? He appears 7 times in a video, and the total percentage 22% out of the whole video length. In 22%, he's appearing in the video, right? Let's say what are the key topics he's speaking on. If you continue this video, you will also figure it out. He's speaking about pending failure, operational dashboard, IoT edge, and intelligent edge. What is the sentiment, right? Is he happy, or is he positive, or is he speaking negative? This API has detected that he's speaking positive, right? And what are the key annotations? Is a person, indoor, man, right? And all these things, as you can see. Transcription of the whole thing is available for you here, right? Right. As you can see, it is written Satya Nadella because he's the speaker here, right? So this is the power of AI which Microsoft delivers, right? So there are many more you can explore one by one. Then there is this Lewis language understanding, right? Just to see it in action. Let's say I tell switch on the lights. Switch on the lights. Switch on the lights. Okay, it's not detecting. Okay, it's switch on the lights. Okay, so it's not detecting because I'm already recording a session, so it's not detecting here. Let's say you have to build a smart home, right? But you need AI into that. So what do? You have to sit and code everything. Like let's say when a user says switch on the light, switch off the light, right? So you don't want to do that. What will you do with that, right? Give me a good lighting for cooking. As you can see, only in the kitchen it has increased the light. The rest lights are switched off, right? I'm expecting guests. So what should it do? It should switch on the lights outside your home, right? So it has just performed that action. I can't find my remote. So what should it do? It should switch on the lights in the hall, right? Because usually you keep your remote in the hall. So I need more light to read my book. So it switched on the light in your bedroom because here the only path which it has is the bedroom to where you can read your books, right? It's too dark in here. I want more lights. So it switched on all the lights. So this is another service called Lewis Language Understanding Intelligence Services. So having seen these demos, now you might wonder, how do I create one for myself, right? So it's very easy. Go to azure.microsoft.com. Okay, log in with your account. Go to the portal. Okay, this is the portal of Azure. Okay, this is where uh, you create all your resources, where you manage your resources of Azure and everything. Okay, there are a couple of subscriptions which are seen here. I mean the services which Azure has to offer. Again, Azure has answer for every question of yours, whichever app service you want to use, be it your blockchain, be it your DevOps, be it your IoT, everything, right? AI plus machine learning has all these services available here. Let's say you want to create an intelligent bot, but you don't know how to create it, right? Just go to this thing and click on start. Microsoft Learn is a website where you get everything hands-on. Like there is a build a bot with Q&A maker and Azure bot services, right? It even checks your knowledge, how much have you understood, and then you can gain your points. Okay, and IoT has all these things, right? IoT Hub, which is a like where all your data comes in from your sensors, and then you can distribute it out from there. Then Machine Learning Studio with web service plans. Again, Machine Learning Studio for classic workspaces, database, everything. You can like log into your Azure portals and explore it for yourself. Then there is mixed reality where AR, VR and all comes into your picture. Then there's blockchain. Again, Azure blockchain services where you can do minimal coding stuff, right? Containers for your Docker containers or Azure Fabric, Kubernetes, everything is here for you. Web, let's say you want to deploy a web app service, right? Just click on this app service, right? Create a resource, create a app service here. Select your subscription. If you have been using your student ID, then it shows it's using a student ID subscription. Resource group. What is a resource group? Resource group is just like a bucket which holds all your required services in a place. Let's say you're working on a project, right? Let's say you're creating a tic-tac-toe game or something like that, and you are using multiple things for a tic-tac-toe game. So what will you do? You just can't throw things out here and there, right? You have to keep it very uh, managed. It should be managed very well, right? It should be organized. So it's just like, compare it to your room, which is messy. But again, resource group holds all your required things in required place. That is what resource group does for you, right? If you don't have any, create a new, let's say I'll create a demo one. Okay. It says it's available. Click on OK. Name, what should be your a name be, right? Let's say demo, right? So demo is not available, demo one. Well, it's not available. Let's choose some unique name, Shane. Right. So this is available when your website is up and running, right? It just gives you shrayan.azurewebsites.net. If you just click on this, the website will be up and running there. Again, if you want to code or if you want to use Docker Container Service, it's for your choice. You do both. Select a runtime stack, which one you want, Tomcat, Node, or Python. Let's go ahead with Python, right? Which region do you want? Where this refers to your data center, right? Which one are you accessing? Let's go with Central US, right? Then let this be default, and then okay, this is your compute size. Well, if you know how web hosting works, you need to have a ready server running 24 into 7, right? But again, the cost for that management, everything is pretty high. But let's say you don't want to spend anything, and if you want to do it on cloud, which Soumya just told us, right? Cost reduction, that is what you can see here. Take a plan which is up, which you want. Let's say select this and click on apply, right? And just review and create one. Right, it takes some time to deploy your web app service here, right? So click on create. It says initializing the deployment and your Azure service is good to go. Cool. So this is how you create a regular service, like let's say anything you want to create. But now we are looking into custom vision, right? Or any of our cognitive services. So just click on cognitive service. Let's say I want to create a content moderator, right? Content moderator, here it is. So create a content moderator. Okay, it's not found. Okay, there is some error, but anyways, I have created one. Let's go ahead with cognitive services. Okay, there is a content demo which I've already created, but again, let's create one more. Okay, what do you want to create now, right? It is giving you a couple of options, whether you want to do it on a machine learning thing, ML Studio Classic, right? Or Bing Auto Suggest, where you can, have a search engine like Google, right? You can do it on your own. Bot channels for registration or a web app bot, right? Whatever you want, just click on that. Bot handle, what is the name, like let's say demo. Cool. So demo one, right? Echo, what should be the bot template, right? Let's click on C# or Node.js. Okay, then just review everything and create. But let's say I've already created a service, and because it takes time to deploy, so let's go ahead with this content moderator. Once your content, let's say any cognitive services which you choose, right, is created, you can see this window popping up. Okay, it gives you an overview, right? A resource group is demo. Where is the endpoint, right? Manage your keys. API type is what API have I used, and what is my enterprise, everything, right? You can just check everything here. Tags, what are the tags available, and the keys, right? If you have to include it in your application, right? You're deploying some application, your keys are the most important stuff. You just have to take out these keys and do it for yourself, right? Keep this key secret because this is your like your password for your application, right? So it comes in a encrypted format. So this is, you can view your keys, right? Where's the endpoint of this here? Content demo. Okay. Right. Which one have I chosen? The metrics, if you can see how much, what is the usage of yours. Build custom dashboards. You can build a custom dashboard just to visualize how is your app performing, how many users are using your app, right? This is a documentation of how do you do one. Resource health is how your resource is doing. Is it overloaded or something like that, right? Scalability, that is where the whole picture comes in. Logs for this. Networking, identity, billing. Okay, how is the billing thing for me? It just shows in this particular thing, right? The resource is not found because I have not done anything with my resource, right? Let's just go to quick start and just see what AI content moderator tool has in store for us. Okay, you just have to sign up. Something went wrong, but again, there is image, right? There is a review of image, everything here, right? You can click anything, video, like the video indexer which I showed you. Everything is ready and up and running here. What you have to do, you just only have to take the keys and endpoint, connect your keys to the app, and you're good to go. So this is how you build your API into your web applications or any applications you're building in, right? So as you saw, I didn't code anything to get in my outputs. What will be the output? The output will be something as you saw in the AI labs just now, as I showed you, right? The AI labs which I just showed you, right? Explore the AI lab, right? You can build an application somewhat similar to this, whatever you are seeing here, right? You can build an application somewhat similar to this, right? Analyze or describe your images or something. It's up to you. Whatever you want, you can build. Let's say you're not sure how to go ahead with this. There is a custom vision documentation which you can find here. They are, pretty much good documentations which are available. It's available on Microsoft Docs.microsoft.com. Okay, it shows you how to do. There are tutorials how to generate metadata for your images. So this is how you build your AI into your existing applications, right? And there we come to the end of the session. Let me just switch back. That was a demo. And to get your certificates, guys, please fill this form, because without this I'm not able to, like, I can't give in your certificates. Your certificates will be out in a week. You can expect them in your inboxes within a week, right? So any more doubts? Now I'm opening it for Q&A and then we'll end the session. Any doubts? You can have a Q&A session right now. Oh, yeah, cool. Okay, sorry for this thing. Okay, just one more thing was left out. I wanted to explain about this MSP program, right? How do you become one? Or how do you, if you are planning to become a MSP, how do you do that, right? As we saw, our guest speaker Soumya was a beta MSP and I'm a beta MSP. Like, let's say you want to appear for this program or you want to apply. So what do you do? So there is a news now. I mean, this MSP program is being retired very soon and it's being rebranded to MLSA. It's called Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors. Right, I'll just show you the website. Okay. Okay, this is your website where you have to apply for anything. There are FAQs here. What do we do? How do we work? We are currently a community of 1,000 student partners from India, and across the globe we are around 3,000, right? And we have 4 levels in this: Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Beta, and Gold, right? So initially when you join, you'll be an Alpha 1. And what are the benefits of this? Well, you get a huge exposure to the corporate world. You can have a we have a community across the globe, so you can connect to anyone and like learn from them. You get a good exposure for learning, right? What is MLSA program? The MSP program is being rebranded as MLSA. Who can apply? Anyone is free to apply for this program, right? What benefits do I get, right? As you can see, you have free Azure credits every month loaded in your account. You have, I think, yeah. And Soumya has written a blog on this. You can just check it out there, right? How do you become MLSA, right? Gold is the ultimate thing, and then some of them are invited to be Microsoft's valuable professionals, right? How much commitment is needed? It's totally upon you. You have to just contribute back to the community, right? You have something called as Imagine Cup, which is a hackathon, annual hackathon, where top everyone across the globe competes, and only a top 3 teams get to win, and a huge amount of prizes are there, right, for those who compete there. All right, that is a very brief introduction about MLSA program. So MSPs are, like the program MSP is being retired on 30th of June, that is tomorrow, right? On from 1st onwards, from 1st July, it will be rebranded as MLSA. Okay, so you can apply. I think the cohort for this is over. You can apply in the upcoming cohort. What does it mean? What benefits do you have? Again, it's a very good thing on your resume if you are a MLSA or MSP or something like that. Cool. So I'm throwing it out for Q&A right now. Wanted to ask something. Unmute yourself, Mini, and ask us. Mini, you can unmute yourself.
What are the chances of getting selected?
Well, the chances of getting selected, see, it depends on your resume. How do you how do you, there's a video which you'll be submitting to them. Basically, you have to tell your experiences. You have to have that leadership skills in you, and based on that you will be selected. There is no like compulsion as such. Any mandate?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Aditi, can you mute yourself? Now you guys can unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if there are any mandatory requirements for applying for an MLSA ambassador program, like
Nothing.
any coding skills that you need to have or any
Prefer to
prior
have
experience.
prefer to have some coding skills, right? It is always a preferred thing, but there is no prerequisite as such.
All right.
I'll
Cool.
just show you a
Thank you.
form. Where is the form, right? Click on apply now. Log in through your Microsoft account, and a form will be ready for you, right?
Hey,
This
Surya. Yeah, like if you have filled it already, right, the form, I
Yeah.
would suggest that if you'll open my blog, it is showing step-by-step procedure how to apply for the program, and it also shows what are the benefits and what all requirements are there. So if you will open that, it would be better.
Yeah.
Because in this you won't be able to apply, right? Because you're already a partner.
Yeah. So, okay. Unable to fill the certificate form. Just sign in and do it. Who's that? Gunveen, just sign in and do it. Can you try it out? Okay, I'll just give the access in a while, right? Any doubts? Any doubts in the previous session or this session with Soumya handled? Oh, I think one question was left out, right? One question was left out. All right, let's do that right now and finish off the session. Okay. What question do I ask? Okay. If I had to do a credit card fraud detection using my machine learning algorithm, which algorithm would it be suitable for me to use? Is the question clear? Okay. Anomaly classification, right? Anyone? Right. So yeah, it's the anomaly detection, and Uppala Meena is given the first answer. So yeah, it's anomaly detection, cause out of 10,000 right transactions, you just have to detect 2 or 3 fraudulent transactions, right? So you can take up anomaly detection, which is a very suitable one for this fraud detection algorithm, which already companies like, Axis Bank and all those use, right? Anomaly detection is the right answer. So let us let us tell the winner. Soumya, are you on the call? Soumya?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so who's the winner? I mean, from the past 3 questions of yours.
For the past 3 questions, according to me, I guess Meenal is from my side for my question.
Okay, from my question, it's Uppala Meena. So overall, out of 4 questions, Meenal has answered the most, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Meenal, congratulations. You have won yourself Microsoft key. We'll be mailing you the key with your certificates. All right. You can access your product there. Right. All right. Any doubts, or we'll end the session here? Any doubts? It's open for Q&A, then we'll end it. Any doubts in my part, or you want to ask something? You can unmute yourself and talk, guys. Okay, seems like no one is having doubt. Thank you for attending the session, guys. Do fill in the feedback form to get your certificates. Right? Thank you, everyone.